The Young and the Restless spoilers Thursday's full episodes October 29, 2025. The week in Genoa City begins under a thick veil of tension, a series of confrontations, temptations, and secrets simmering just beneath the surface. It's one of those stretches where no one sleeps easily, where every word spoken seems to carry a hidden meaning, and where every character, whether by choice or by fate, finds themselves pushed closer to the edge. The drama spreads across the city like wildfire, from the elegant corridors of the GCAC to the restless dreams of the lost and the lonely. And this time, it is Lily Winters, Kane Ashby, Adam Newman, Phyllis Summers, and Tessa Porter who find their lives colliding in unpredictable, dangerous ways. At the Grand City Athletic Club, the hum of whispered deals and quiet rivalries fills the air, but Kane isn't here to socialize. He moves through the lobby with the stiff posture of a man holding something heavy, a secret, a loss, or maybe both. His world has once again started to crumble, and this time, it's not about marriage or money, but about power, a power he can no longer control. When he spots Adam and Chelsea Newman seated in the corner, his expression hardens. Adam's smirk greets him before words even form. There's history between them, the kind that curdles into contempt the moment they lock eyes. Kane approaches, his voice sharp, asking one simple question that carries the weight of everything he's lost: where's Victor? The question isn't about logistics, it's about leverage. Kane needs access, a meeting, a chance to fix what's gone wrong before it consumes him entirely. Adam, however, isn't in the business of helping desperate men. His smile widens, that trademark Newman arrogance spilling through every syllable as he leans back in his chair and claims ignorance. Of course, he knows exactly where Victor is, but he also knows that Kane's desperation is his entertainment. He reminds him, with cruel satisfaction, that in Genoa City, alliances are currency, and Kane has spent his last dime. You should leave town, Adam advises, his tone laced with venom disguised as concern. You don't have friends here anymore. You've burned every bridge. The words hit like daggers because they're true, or at least, mostly true. But before Kane can respond, another shadow enters the scene. Lily Winters steps into the GCAC, her presence immediately commanding attention. Chelsea's eyes widen, a flicker of recognition crossing her face as she nudges Adam, whispering something under her breath. Adam chuckles, the corners of his mouth curling with anticipation. Better make sure she doesn't give him a reason to stay, he mutters, his voice dripping with mockery. But Chelsea, in her uneasy calm, reminds him that Kane has already made his choice. He said he's not leaving, she murmurs, her tone distant but steady, her eyes lingering on Adam as if silently daring him to drop the act. They turn their attention back to their meal, trying to bury the discomfort of their own unspoken issues, their absent son, whose disappearance from both screen and life has left a void they rarely talk about, and Chelsea's growing resentment toward her therapist, whom she suspects of manipulating her recovery rather than helping it. Meanwhile, across the room, the tension between Lily and Kane thickens like fog. They sit opposite each other, two people bound by a history that refuses to die. The love that once held them together now feels like a battlefield of blame and regret. Lily's tone is measured but cold, the kind of calm that only barely conceals anger. She accuses him, not of betrayal in love this time, but in trust. Let me guess, she says, her voice heavy with sarcasm. You're here to hand over the AI program so I can destroy it. It's not just a business matter, it's personal. The AI project, developed under the Winters Chancellor umbrella, represented months of work, innovation, and pride, and now, it's gone. Kane exhales, his eyes meeting hers with a mixture of exhaustion and defiance. He tells her the truth, or at least what he believes to be the truth: the AI system has been stolen. Someone hacked into his files, bypassed layers of encryption, and erased every trace of its existence. At first, Lily doesn't believe him. She's been lied to too many times, deceived by the same man who once promised transparency only to deliver chaos. You expect me to believe that, she asks, her voice trembling not with fear, but fury. Kane insists he can prove it, that he has evidence of the breach, logs showing unauthorized access from an unknown IP. But to Lily, his words sound like another performance in a long line of excuses. Still, there's something different in his eyes this time, not arrogance, not manipulation, but genuine fear. And that makes her pause. For all his flaws, Kane has never looked this broken. "I'm not lying, Lily," he says quietly. "They took everything." The idea chills her. If someone has stolen that program, the consequences are immense. The AI project wasn't just code, it was technology capable of predictive analytics powerful enough to manipulate financial systems, digital infrastructure, even personal data. In the wrong hands, it could be catastrophic. As their conversation deepens, the past and present blur. Lily remembers the early days when Kane's ambition had driven them apart, how every secret he kept became another wall between them. And now, as he pleads for her to believe him, she wonders if history is repeating itself, or if this time, the danger is far greater than either of them can handle. She wants to hate him, to turn away and let him drown in the mess he's created, but she can't. Beneath the anger, there's still that thread of connection, fragile, frayed, but unbroken. Elsewhere in Genoa City, Phyllis Summers is playing a very different game. While others drown in chaos, she thrives on it. Her confidence is intoxicating, her smirk unshakable as she parades through the GCAC like the queen of her own world. When she spots Danny Romalotti, nostalgia mixes with triumph. She wastes no time in flaunting her latest victory, whatever it may be, perhaps a new business deal, perhaps a personal conquest, or perhaps just the knowledge that she's still standing while so many around her are falling apart. Phyllis doesn't need validation, she is her own spotlight. Danny listens, patient and polite, but the flicker in his eyes suggests he knows better than to take her bravado at face value. Phyllis may be smiling, but her victories are often born of desperation, her triumphs balanced on the edge of chaos. And then, in a quiet apartment across town, the line between fantasy and nightmare blurs for Tessa Porter. In her dream, she and Daniel are together, not emotionally, but physically, lost in a haze of passion that feels almost too vivid. The warmth, the touch, the intensity, it's real, until suddenly it isn't. The air changes. The room darkens. A knock echoes from the door, sharp and final. When she opens it, a woman stands there, a police officer, eyes cold and voice detached. "We have a warrant for the arrest of Mariah Copeland." The words hit Tessa like a gunshot. The dream dissolves into panic, and she jolts awake in bed, her breath shallow, her heart racing. Sweat clings to her skin, and she can still hear the echo of the officer's voice in her mind. It wasn't just a dream, it was a warning, a manifestation of fear and guilt that has been eating away at her since Mariah's recent troubles began. The following day, as the sun rises over Genoa City, the threads of these stories intertwine in ways no one yet understands. Lily's anger simmers into suspicion, Kane's desperation grows as he realizes the theft may be part of a larger corporate espionage plot, and Adam watches from a distance, amused and calculating. Phyllis continues to dance her dangerous dance of pride and deflection, while Tessa, haunted by her dream, starts to wonder if it's a premonition rather than imagination. By week's end, everything is in motion. Lily begins investigating the breach herself, uncovering evidence that points to a corporate rival who may have paid for the stolen data, possibly someone inside Newman Media, or worse, within Chancellor Winters itself. Kane's insistence that he was hacked begins to look more plausible, but the question remains, who benefits most from the chaos? Adam, as always, seems to know more than he's saying. And as for Sienna Bacall, still behind bars after the Los Angeles scandal, whispers emerge that the stolen AI code may have been connected to her network, a chilling reminder that Genoa City's feuds are rarely isolated. Through it all, Sharon remains by Noah's side, unaware that the same digital shadows haunting Kane's project might also hold the key to understanding the forces that nearly destroyed her son. The city moves in cycles, betrayal, revenge, redemption, and this week, the wheel turns again, faster than ever. In Genoa City, no secret stays buried, and every choice ripples outward like shockwaves in still water. Lily's rage, Adam's arrogance, Phyllis's pride, and Tessa's fear, they're all threads in a tapestry that's tightening around them. And when it finally pulls taut, someone will break. Because in The Young and the Restless, every secret has a price, and this week, everyone is paying. The afternoon light in Genoa City fell soft and golden, the kind of deceptive calm that made people believe peace was possible, until someone opened their mouth and shattered it. At the Chancellor Winters' offices, tension hummed between Lily Winters and Kane Ashby like static electricity. They stood facing each other, the ghosts of their past love hovering just behind their anger. Kane's words came slow and measured, trying to rebuild a fragile bridge that had burned too many times before. He looked her in the eyes and said the only thing that could pierce through her suspicion, that keeping his promise to her was the most important thing in his life. That simple confession cracked something inside her. For all his chaos and mistakes, Kane had never said anything with such quiet conviction. Against her better judgment, Lily chose to believe him, at least for now. When he told her he knew who had stolen the AI program, she froze. Who? She asked, voice steady but eyes wary. Kane hesitated for only a moment before replying, Phyllis. Or maybe Victor. The names hit like thunder. Lily frowned, her intuition caught between disbelief and fear. Phyllis Summers was capable of manipulation, yes, but stealing proprietary technology seemed beyond her motives, unless she was working for someone else. And Victor Newman? The idea made Lily's stomach twist. He had power and reach, but what would he gain from sabotaging them? No matter who it is, she finally said, her voice dropping to a whisper edged with exhaustion, you will still be responsible for this, Kane. For trusting the wrong people. For letting this happen. Kane nodded, guilt heavy in his expression, but beneath it burned determination. He promised her that whoever held the stolen program would be found, and when they were, he would destroy it, even if it cost him everything. Across town, life carried on under the illusion of normalcy. At Crimson Lights, Phyllis Summers stepped out into the patio area, the sunlight glinting off her crimson hair as she scanned the crowd. Her sharp eyes softened when she spotted a familiar figure slouched at one of the outdoor tables. Daniel Romalotti, her son, sat there wearing sunglasses, his posture lazy, his spirit clearly drained. For a moment, maternal concern flickered in her chest, but as she approached, Daniel removed his glasses, and the truth hit her, he was drunk. Not the happy, careless kind of drunk, but the heavy, empty kind that comes from running out of reasons to care. Daniel, she whispered, almost in disbelief. His eyes were red, his smile crooked with exhaustion. Before she could speak again, Danny Romalotti arrived, his presence cutting through the uneasy quiet like a sharp note in an old song. His eyes widened the moment he saw his son, the boy he had watched grow into a man, now looking like a stranger. Daniel tried to explain, his voice slurred but earnest, saying that he had been with Tessa, that they had shared wine and later whiskey, and that nothing scandalous had happened beyond conversation and alcohol. Phyllis's jaw tightened. Her anger wasn't just about the drinking, it was about the pattern, the way Daniel kept circling the same mistakes, the same dangerous people. I told you not to chase Tessa, she snapped, her tone slicing through his fog. Look at you. You look like a ghost. Daniel dropped his gaze, shame washing over him. Moments later, his phone buzzed. It was Tessa. Her voice on the line was gentle, almost musical, as she invited him over for breakfast. He hesitated but eventually agreed. He rose from his seat, grabbed his sunglasses, and offered his parents a faint smile. Someone looks energetic again, Phyllis quipped dryly, her sarcasm barely masking her concern. Daniel just nodded, muttered that he loved them, and walked off toward the street. Watching him go, Phyllis felt that familiar ache, the one that comes from realizing a child has grown beyond your control but not beyond your worry. When he was gone, Phyllis turned her attention to Danny. The tension between them was as old as their history, equal parts affection and rivalry. She smirked, leaning back in her chair, and teased him about his upcoming wedding. So, she began, eyes glinting with mischief, you're really going through with it? Marrying the most boring woman on the planet? Danny sighed, already weary of the conversation. Jealousy doesn't suit you, Phyllis, he muttered. But she wasn't jealous, she was restless. Her energy was a mix of deflection and ego, a refusal to sit still long enough to feel the loneliness creeping in. She kept glancing at her phone, her impatience betraying her. Danny noticed. You waiting for someone? He asked, curiosity laced with suspicion. Phyllis smiled, that dangerous smile that meant she knew something no one else did. I'm busy, she replied smoothly. I have things to handle. And this time, I'm going to win. Her phone buzzed again. She looked down, expecting another empty distraction, but instead, her heart skipped. A message from Victor Newman. Meet me at the ranch. Urgent. Danny caught a glimpse of the screen and his blood ran cold. Phyllis, he said slowly, what have you gotten yourself into this time? There was genuine fear in his voice. I used to worry about you. Now I'm terrified. But Phyllis just laughed it off, brushing it away like a speck of dust. Don't be dramatic, she said, though her eyes betrayed a flicker of uncertainty. Meanwhile, Daniel arrived at Tessa's apartment, the hangover dulling his thoughts but not his curiosity. The door opened before he could knock twice, and there she was with barefoot, wearing an oversized sweater, her hair loose and eyes still haunted from her restless night. She smiled softly, gesturing for him to come in. The smell of coffee filled the air, comforting but heavy with unspoken tension. They sat at the small table by the window, and Tessa hesitated before speaking. I had a dream, she confessed, her voice trembling slightly. It started as something intimate. But then it turned into a nightmare. A police officer came to my door. She said she had a warrant for Mariah's arrest. Her fingers fidgeted around her cup, the memory clearly unsettling. I don't know what it means, Daniel. I don't know if it's just my mind, or if it's something I need to pay attention to. Daniel watched her carefully. There was something raw about the way she spoke, the vulnerability beneath her artistic composure. Maybe it's just stress, he offered gently. You've been through so much lately. But Tessa shook her head, tears glimmering in her eyes. No, she said softly. It felt like more than that. Like a message. Like something's ending. She paused, then looked up at him with a sad smile. You and I, we share something. Something meaningful. The words hung between them, charged and dangerous. For a long moment, Daniel didn't respond. He felt the pull, the connection they both knew existed, but he also felt the boundary that must not be crossed. That connection, he said finally, his voice low but firm, can't go beyond what it already is. We both know that. His words were kind, but they cut deep. Tessa nodded slowly, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Not while I'm still married, she agreed, her voice breaking slightly. She confessed that during her visit to Boston, things with Mariah had changed. She kept pushing me away, Tessa said, her eyes distant. Every time I tried to reach her, she'd close off a little more. I thought it was just stress, but now I wonder, was it the beginning of the end, and I just didn't see it? The question lingered like smoke in the room. Daniel wanted to comfort her, but he knew better than to make promises he couldn't keep. He simply nodded, offering the quiet presence of someone who understood too well the pain of love slipping away. Outside, the city stirred with new chaoses: Victor's secret meeting, Phyllis's dangerous ambitions, Lily's fragile trust, and the dark undercurrent of the AI theft that continued to ripple beneath them all. As morning turned to afternoon, the sun climbed higher, oblivious to the human storms brewing below. Kane's promise echoed in his mind like a prayer. Lily's warning rang in his ears. Phyllis's phone pulsed with danger. And somewhere, in the quiet of Tessa's apartment, two people sat on the edge of emotional collapse, wondering how long they could pretend that connection meant nothing. In Genoa City, truth has a way of unraveling faster than anyone can control, and by the end of this week, every lie, every dream, and every promise will start to fall apart. Because no matter how hard they try to keep the peace, the Restless always find a way to destroy it.